BGN News.
Well, we're back in the bottom of the sixth inning. The first pitch from Blas Minor was a fastball inside. The catcher Slaught missed the ball and it nailed Charlie Relaford.
Well, this was meant perhaps as a little payback for Bob Scanlon hitting Garcia, but the only man paid back was Charlie Relaford. So he's going, wait a second, I didn't throw it at anybody.
Now, do they issue a warning about hitting umpires?
Yes. And John Fierro comes out. Take a look at the elbow of Charlie Relaford.
Well, that had to hurt. I mean, bad.
How about Ben Hines getting hit yesterday off the forearm? The forearm started to bleed and they had a goose egg on it.
Well, Relaford apparently all right, but that was just like a batter right there getting hit flush on the elbow because Slaught never touched the ball. And now when thrown behind Grace, they've thrown Minor out of the game. So now the benches are empty. Somebody Sosa acted like he wanted a piece of Minor, then stopped running. And both teams in front of the mound. And now all of a sudden, Jim Lefevre very much getting right in the middle of that pack. As they're trying to separate a few of the angrier folks. Derek May right in there. And May came from the on-deck circle. Jim Lefevre very upset. Now he's acting as peacemaker, trying to get his troops back to the third base side dugout. The first pitch came inside. The next one thrown behind Grace. They threw Minor out of the game and both benches empty. And a few guys aren't quite finished. It's just moving a little bit closer to third base. And Al Martin, the left fielder right there, having to be separated by Ryne Sandberg. Well, Sosa came racing out. He clearly had decided he wasn't going to fight because he sprinted out of the dugout, got about 10 feet from the mound, and there was nobody in front of him. Wait a minute now. Scanlon shouting at John Wehner and Al Martin. And now a few of them getting into it. Looks like a rugby match separating bodies here. Lonnie Smith and Derek May. And now it moves over closer to the dugout. Boy, oh boy, Kevin Young, the man who's trying to mix it up with one of the Cubs. And they're taking 3 or 4 people to get Young out of there. Randy Myers losing his hat in this melee. It didn't look like any punches were thrown and or landed, but it got pretty close, and now they'll start separating people. Lonnie's not going anywhere. And now Jim Lefevre rather looks to be on the way to have a conversation with somebody.
Well, when we sort this out, we'll see who was ejected from the game and if the manager was ejected also. And as they separate the teams here, Pirates going back to their dugout, their side of the field.
No one left in the dugout. The trainers aren't going to fight one another. They actually get along in this process.
Bench is going back, and now the umpires will meet to see just exactly what's going to come down. And let's watch what we saw with a fastball sailing in back of Mark Grace. It doesn't hit him. And you see right there Charlie Relaford pointing at Blas Minor. And that will probably mean that Minor is ejected from the game.
Jim Lefevre and Jim Leland exchanging words there just behind home. Mark Grace is waiting to go back up to bat. Leland will head back for his dugout, and a number of the players on both sides still waiting on the playing field. Well, this whole mess started back in the 6th inning when Carlos Garcia was hit by a pitch from Bob Scanlon. Garcia had homered twice in the game. And now is a payback here with Grace leading off the bottom of the 6th inning. Minor misses high and tight, then throws behind Grace. The bench is emptied. No punches exchanged, and we can only wonder if the managers have been thrown out of the game. Leland looks like he's headed for the clubhouse tunnel.
Well, even Yosh Kawano came out. Maybe he wanted a piece of the clubhouse man for the Pirates. And Jim Leland's not going anywhere to this point. Charlie Relaford coming over. He has kicked Blas Minor out of the game. And that'll probably mean that Jim Leland might also get the boot. And Leland is a very unhappy man right now.
Well, his team had an 8-2 lead in this game and gave it up. Cubs got 6 in the bottom of the 5th. And Charlie Relaford explaining the situation to Jim Leland. With a hat off, he's the home plate umpire. And Jim Lefebvre waiting for probably some kind of explanation after this conference with Leland is over. Hot bats and hot tempers here today at Wrigley Field.
Well, we said, Tommy, it's been a wild one, and certainly there's nothing to choose from with these two teams. 8, 10, and 1 each. Mark Grace was not hit by the ball as it sailed behind him. The first pitch was inside. No warning, nothing given on the first pitch, but when the second pitch went behind him, the intent of Blas Minor at that point was clear. He has been ejected. So that'll mean at the worst a new Pirate pitcher will have to come into the ball game. And Jim Lefebvre just standing there with Derek May to see the resolution of this one.
You know, I almost wonder if Al Martin's been thrown out of this game. He has been, apparently, because Jim Leland is waving Martin in. He was right in the thick of the action, coming the closest amongst all the Pirates of getting into a brawl with at least one of the Cub players. Leland will meet with him just behind the mound, while Lefebvre is getting an explanation from the umpire crew, and Martin has indeed been thrown out of the game.
Looks like Lonnie Smith is coming in to take the place of Al Martin. Let's start with a pitch that sails behind Mark Grace. You see Charlie Relaford pointing, and that's when everybody spilled onto the field.
Let's see where Derek May is in all this mix. Right there, he's to the right of your screen, and then as Don Slaught was trying to make peace, May right there in the face of Slaught, and you see Martin, the left-hand side, kind of leaning over. And before too long, Martin will get in it with somebody. He's way back at the left-hand side of the screen.
Well, Tommy, Bob Scanlon has also been ejected. So apparently, after things kind of calmed down, something went on with Bob Scanlon to cause his ejection from this game.
I'm sure it was Martin and Scanlon, the two that came closest to a fight.
Now, at this point, you'd think all is settled down. And there's Al Martin.
But his role in this whole affair isn't over right there, because it'll move a little bit closer to the Cub dugout with Martin right in the thick of the action. There comes Scanlon, and there is Martin trying to get to him.
Jose Martinez right in the thick of it, as is Jim Leland, and now things start spilling over as tempers really start to flare.
Lonnie Smith, it looked like, almost came to blows with Batista. And then Dave Clark over there having to restrain Kevin Young in front of the Cub dugout. Call them the Battling Bucks. Back-to-back days the Pirates have been involved in benches clearing brawls. Yesterday with Philadelphia, today with the Cubs. And then to end it all, Randall Kirk Myers glaring at Dave Clark. Here's where Scanlon got into it. Right there, Kevin Young saying something to him. Dave Clark then having a few words back. So now we're going to get back to playing baseball.